doesn't love a good home makeover show, or really any makeover show? Any show where we talk about the before and the after, right? HGTV is an entire network that's based on this idea that draws us into the story. There's something that like just is inspiring, that we love to have that hidden treasure moment. But in order to get to that, in order to understand that origin story of the house, you have to start deconstructing. My deconstructing story started 5 years ago when I first started on this road to food addiction recovery. Years ago, I was really overwhelmed, and I don't know that I was scared. I don't think that's probably the right word, but I was really trepidatious that this would actually work, because I'd tried everything. I had tried everything except like actually saying, God, whatever you want. I would try everything except don't make me give it up. And there was this area of my life that I just wanted to hold on to. And when I finally took that step, when I was like, okay, God, I've tried everything my way, and like clearly it's not working because I'm now a size 24 and upwards of 260 pounds, like, and I feel out of control. And I hadn't really taken the time in any of the other diet things I'd tried to really do that uncovering work. Sometimes the outside looked different, but internally, my house was still the same. The last 5 years has been an ongoing and continual process of deconstructing, demolishing some ideas about myself, some unhealthy views of myself, and finding the original. It's just been enough things over time, just normal life, wounds that I had absorbed over time about who I was, that I had allowed other people besides the original designer of my house, right, the Lord, to tell me what my house should look like. I hadn't realized how much of my life I covered up with food until it was no longer a coping. And then all of a sudden I had to actually deal with what was there. And when you think about like those home makeover shows, sometimes you peel layers back and you find this beautiful original whatever. But sometimes you pull layers back and you're like, ew, there's some mold. There's something that we were not expecting. And really the last 5 years have been a lot of that. The first year and a half is when I lost pretty much all of the weight, 115 pounds. And I haven't lost any more than that, which, little aside, I have some frustrating moments because as part of this process of losing weight, I've had a lot of loose skin. And so I've had surgeries to remove that. And they've taken 10 pounds of skin off of my body. And yet the weight on the scale has not changed. That's like when you tell yourself it's not about the weight, but then you have these things where you're like, mathematically, something is not adding up here. But I lost it pretty quickly, I would say. I mean, I don't, if you're not doing like extreme Biggest Loser type weight loss stuff, and it wasn't surgery, and there was no working out because I do not like to sweat. And I sweat a lot when I work out, and so literally was having a conversation with my friend today. I really want to be somebody, in my heart, I want to be somebody who works out because I know it's good for my body. Getting it from a want to a do is like a whole other thing. Year and a half, lost all of the weight. What happened after the weight loss is really the biggest part of this process, and it is a continual process, right? I think that's the other interesting thing about this idea of before and afters is we get really excited about those reveal moments, those pictures when we line them up side by side, but then what happens after the after? Have you ever seen any of those photos of Olympics venues after the Olympics, right? They build these beautiful event venues to house all of the different sporting events that happen at the Olympics. but most of those are built and constructed for one purpose and one purpose only. Majority of countries don't have the infrastructure, the sporting network, the tourism to support all of those venues being utilized full time. And so if you've ever seen some of those pictures 2, 3, 4 years after the Olympics, many of them are totally in disrepair. Grass grown over, they're graffitied because the purpose has gone away. It would have been really easy to get to that 1.5 year mark when I'd lost the weight, when I'd gone through the 12 steps for the first time, when I'd done a lot of that heart work, I'd gotten to what I consider to be a pretty healthy weight. I still have a number in mind that I'd love to get to, mostly because, not so secret, I'd really love to be featured in People magazine's half their size, and I haven't quite gotten to a number that actually would be half my size. Stupid, I know, whatever, but here you go. This is real life. I am only real on this channel. You get it all, so here it is. It's been really easy to get to that goal and to stop there, to have achieved the thing I set out to achieve, which was be healthier, get control of my food, and by get control of my food, I mean really realize I don't have control of my food and be obedient and surrender it to the Lord. But I think it's because that part, the be obedient and surrender it to the Lord, isn't actually something that I truly think I can check off the list, because probably like many people, I really, really struggle with wanting to be in control of my own life and wanting to do things my way and not wanting to give things up. And so as much as I have experienced the joy and freedom and fruitfulness of living this way, there are many times where all I want to do is take back control, where all I want to do is just be like, well, why can't I numb out? Okay, so maybe I won't binge in chocolate, but I'll binge in abstinent foods, right? Y'all know my issue with the dried mangoes. I had tested positive for COVID last week, and I was writing out a grocery list so that somebody could drop off food for me. And you know what I put on there? Freaking dried mangoes. And I was fully aware when I put that on the list. I'm like, I know that I'm doing this out of coping. I know that I'm having an I deserve mindset. 100% choosing food. Is that the proper, I'm the perfect poster child for recovery? No, but the only thing you ever get here is the real, honest, true Matina, the same person you would get if you knew me in real life. For those of you who know me in real life, here we go. This is a daily thing. And because the idea, the goal that I'm trying to get to is to live open-handed, surrendered, and obedient to the Lord, where I say, truly, God, your will, not mine. That is the desire of my heart. That is not the nature of my flesh. Why do I feel so out of control? Why do I feel so resentful and angry? Like, oh, right, because I've been trying to do all of this on my own. And I haven't actually spent time with the Lord. I'm trying to do things because I think I deserve them, or I want this to go my way because I think I know best. Okay, really? Yeah, great, Matina. Yeah, you sure know best for everything. Could have gotten to that 1.5 year mark, lost all the weight, done some good work, done some deconstructing, and just left it. Then I would have been stuck at 1.5 years, Matina. I would have been able to keep the weight off if just by, doing the thing. There is a reason that I continue to do these updates, because I am continuing to grow. And part of what I have discovered in that paring back process, there is original beauty. But when you try to restore that original whatever without knowing the original plans, without consulting the architect or the time period, right? How could you possibly restore something to original 1920s if you had no idea what original 1920s even looked like? You have to know what you're restoring to in order to restore it. What I found underneath that was a lot of old wounds that I didn't even realize I had, because it's not like they were these huge traumatic events that happened. They were offhanded comments that people made. They were things that I believed about myself. They were things that kind of got reinforced in multiple little experiences and exposures over my life, where that original beauty I stopped believing was beautiful. The last few years, and really the last year, this year 5, been so much inward work. Has been a lot of self-reflecting. There are many times where I'm like, I don't like this. Like, why can't I just, like, why am I circling this mountain again? Why am I dealing with this issue of pride and control again? Literally read like any of my posts. Here's the thing, is like, just because I'm circling that mountain again, just because I find myself in the same place on the mountain, does not mean that I am the same person in that place. This is what this last year has taught me. Rather than getting frustrated about like, why am I here again, Lord? And feeling somehow like I'm actually in the same place. And I go back to the Lord and I'm like, let's be inquisitive about this. Why am I doing this? Where am I feeling out of control in other areas of my life that's driving this need? I am so much more self-aware and willing to ask those hard questions because I'm not scared of what I might find under the surface anymore. I am celebrating 5 years. There are certainly moments along the way where I have disappointed myself, where I look in the mirror, where I don't always like what I see, or I look at my behavior or my attitude and I don't always like what I see. But I am so proud of the work that I've done, of who I am, of who God has made me to be. I am fully embracing Matina, and I love it.